In war, trains never stop without reason. Even the slow ones, even the old ones, especially the ones that run at night, where there are no stations, no passengers, and no reason for anyone to climb aboard except necessity or fear. You were part of a three-man patrol assigned to check a rail line that cut through a narrow valley. The scouts who'd come through earlier reported seeing a stalled freight train around midnight, lights off, engine cold, no movement. No gunfire, no bodies, no obvious sabotage. Just a train sitting exactly where it shouldn't be. You didn't think much of it at first. Trains got abandoned all the time. Fuel shortages, retreats, mechanical failures, crews leaving fast. Railways were the veins of the war, and sometimes blood just stopped flowing. But the moment you stepped onto the gravel beside the rails, you felt something was off. The night was too quiet. No owls, no wind, just the faint metallic ticking of cooling steel. The engine stood at the front, a dark bulk with frost creeping across its cabin windows. The paint was chipped, the numbers half erased by weather and passing hands. A ladder clung to its side, metal cold enough to stick skin to it if touched bare. Fisher walked ahead of you, rifle lowered but ready. He tapped the locomotive twice with his knuckle. The sound echoed deep, as if the engine had swallowed the noise. "Cold," he murmured. "Hasn't run for hours." "Crew?" you asked. "Should be here." He pointed to the cabin door. Open. It wasn't just open. It hung crooked, dangling from a single hinge. Your sergeant climbed inside first. You heard his boots scrape the metal floor, then stop. "What?" Fisher whispered. "Nothing." A pause. "Absolutely nothing." You followed him up. The driver's seat was empty. The firebox was cold. The tools normally left scattered were gone. Drawers emptied, lantern missing. No signs of struggle, no blood, no shell damage. Just absence. It looked like a room someone had cleaned before leaving. Not running from danger, not fleeing, just stepping away. The sergeant scratched his chin. Strange. He wasn't wrong. But the strangest part was the smell. Not of oil, not of coal. Something faint, like soap or a washed shirt dried too fast. Something human, domestic, in a place made for machinery. Fisher leaned out the cabin window. "We should check the wagons." You walked along the side of the train. The gravel shifted under your boots, crunching loudly in the still night. The wagons loomed tall, long shadows cutting into the darkness. Most had sliding doors, some open a crack, some shut tight. The first wagon was empty, just wooden planks and cold air. The second held crates. You cracked one open, medical supplies, half full. The third had nothing but straw, flattened unevenly. It was the fourth wagon that made you stop. Its door was halfway open, hanging not by force, but by neglect. Inside, dim moonlight spilled across the floor, revealing faint lines in the dust, shapes, like someone had dragged tired boots across it. Fisher ran a gloved hand through the tracks. "Fresh," he said softly. "Hours, not days." "Supplies missing?" your sergeant asked. You scanned the shelves built into the walls. Some blankets were gone, some rations taken, but neatly, respectfully, not stolen, selected. And then you noticed the bench. A simple wooden plank attached to the wall. On it lay a folded piece of fabric, dark blue, child-sized, clean. A scarf. You stared at it. It was too similar to the one you'd once seen in a deserted house weeks earlier. Not the same scarf, no, but the same fragility, the same stubborn reminder that someone existed, lived, breathed, and left quickly, with enough time to fold something, but not enough to stay. Your sergeant cleared his throat. "Why leave this?" You didn't answer. No one did. You moved on. The next wagon was locked from the outside. Fisher pried the latch with his knife, metal squealing under pressure. When it finally snapped open, the door rolled just an inch and stopped, blocked by something heavy inside. You pulled harder. The wagon groaned open. Inside were bicycles, dozens of them, bent frames, flat tires, a few intact, civilian models, some with little bells on them, the kind kids used. "Why transport these?" Fisher whispered. The sergeant didn't respond. You climbed inside, stepping over piles of metal. One bike had a ribbon tied to the handlebar. Another had a child's drawing taped to the seat, faded but still visible. A house, a dog, stick figures holding hands. Your chest tightened. You exited the wagon, breath clouding in the cold, mind wrestling with images you didn't want to assemble. The next wagon held sacks of grain. The next held canned food. The next, nothing. Then you reached the last one, a passenger car. The door slid open easily. Inside, rows of seats stretched into the dark. Some cushions torn, some intact. Windows cracked, overhead straps dangling like limp arms. A few papers scattered on the floor, ration slips, a calendar page, a photo of a woman in winter clothes. And something else. Dried mud on the aisle, fresh footprints pressed into it. Not many, just one set, moving from front to back. You followed them. At the rear of the car, the footprints stopped at the exit door. The handle was clean. Someone had touched it recently. You stepped down onto the small metal platform, the cold biting through your gloves. The tracks continued down the steps, onto the ground, and then nothing. The wind had erased the boot prints completely after 5 meters. It was as if the person had walked into the night and dissolved into it. Your sergeant joined you on the platform, looking into the darkness. "No bodies," he said. "No blood, no signs of panic." Fisher stood behind him. "So where did they go?" The sergeant scanned the valley, rails stretching ahead into pitch-black nothingness, hills rising like tired beasts on both sides. "They left," he finally said. "Why leave the train intact?" Fisher asked. "Engine's still good, supplies untouched. Why walk?" The sergeant didn't look at either of you when he answered. "Because sometimes," he said quietly, "you don't wait for orders. You don't wait for permission. You don't wait for the next shell to drop. You just go." You watched him for a long moment. He wasn't talking about the crew anymore, and you knew it. You returned to the train one last time, past the silent engine, past the wagons that weren't empty but felt empty, past the bicycles waiting for owners who didn't return, past the folded scarf, past the photograph of the woman no one would report missing. On the way back, the wind picked up. Light snow fell, soft, indifferent. When you reached your outpost and filed the report, the lieutenant looked at the papers without emotion. "Probably got spooked," he said. "Moved on foot to avoid attention. Common thing." He stamped the report. "That happens in war." But at night, lying on your bunk, listening to the freight cars creaking quietly on the siding outside, you didn't think about supply chains or desertion or protocols. You thought about the footprints that ended too neatly, the scarf folded too carefully, the bicycles waiting for riders who wouldn't return, the trains sitting in the cold, not abandoned, but left, as if the people inside had decided the tracks were no longer taking them where they wanted to go. And for a long time afterward, whenever trains passed through the valley at night, you listened, not for their engines, not for their whistles, but for the silence between the rails. The silence that tells you who stayed, who left, and who walked into the dark because it was the only path left.